4 quarters of Notre Dame football.
He's met by Alohi Gilman with a nasty hit. Chase Claypool reaches across the goal line. Touchdown Irish. Still moving. Chris Fink inside the 20-yard line. Down he goes.
No matter what happens, we stay together.
And intercepted by Jalen Elliott.
Look, a great fake. Touchdown, Notre Dame.
The Fighting Irish opened their 2019 campaign with a 35-17 road victory over Louisville. We welcome you to Inside Notre Dame Football, brought to you by TireRack.com, along with former Irish quarterback Evan Sharpley. I'm Darren Pritchett. Well, after the game, Brian Kelly mentioned there were bits and pieces from this game he really liked. What do you think was high on his list?
Well, first off, getting a win was a big thing here in Game 1. But they ran the football well for the vast majority of the game. I think Brian Kelly liked to see Ian Book settle down in the second half, led Notre Dame down on a great drive to really close out the game. The defense made adjustments at halftime, came out and played really well in the second half, and then there weren't any issues on special teams. I know that a lot of new faces. I'm sure Brian Kelly was very happy with that.
Let's go to the highlights from Cardinal Stadium, where they had 58,187, a record for that stadium. Fighting Irish head coach Brian Kelly, 7-2 in season openers in South Bend. Ian Book back as the starting quarterback for the Fighting Irish. First play of the season, Louisville blitzes. Ian Book sees it coming, and he takes off running 36 yards into Louisville territory.
Just like they drew it up there, huh?
That's exactly right. Then Book to Jafar Armstrong. He goes 16 yards, which sets up Jameer Smith, his first career touchdown from 3 yards out, 7-0 Notre Dame.
And that's behind first-year starter Jared Patterson at center. Opens up the hole for Smith. Irish control the line of scrimmage early.
Now Louisville goes to work on offense. Jawan Pass, the Louisville quarterback, picks up 13 yards on a first down, and then he scores from 8 yards out. We had a 7-7 game. Next drive for Louisville, Javian Hawkins breaks free, 44 yards all the way down to the Notre Dame 26-yard line. Then it was Pass, a 7-yard touchdown run off the right side, and Louisville had the lead 14-7. Notre Dame found its running game on the next possession. Tony Jones Jr. for 15 yards. And then Jones got the carry again, this time off the left side. He breaks a tackle, 35-yard run down to the Louisville 11-yard line. On second down and goal, they go to Jones again, and he scores from 11 yards out. The game was tied at 14.
Great job up front here against an undersized Louisville front seven. Patterson, Kramer, Hainsey doing an awesome job, opening up a hole for Tony Jones.
Well, after giving up 2 touchdowns early, the Irish defense held Louisville to 40 yards over the next 18 plays. A pass breakup by freshman safety Kyle Hamilton. That was followed up by Tariq Bracy knocking down a pass, and the defense held. Then some craziness. Pass scrambling to his left, wrapped up by Julian Akora. Alohi Gilman comes in and not only knocks the ball free, but recovers the fumble.
Textbook here by Akora, and Gilman going in to punch it out. Great play by this Irish defense.
So the Irish in scoring range. The next play, Book steps up in the pocket. He runs into Brock Wright. The ball comes free, and Louisville recovers the fumble.
Not ideal.
Late in the first half, Louisville maybe they'll just try to run out the clock. Well, they snap the ball low to pass. The ball is free, and Jake Lamb recovered the ball for Notre Dame at the 20-yard line.
Just a brutal set of plays here, almost looking like the Bad News Bears out there.
So another opportunity for the Irish offense to score late in the first half. Ian Book fakes the handoff, runs right, and picks up the first down as he gets inside the Louisville 10-yard line. Then Book fakes the screen pass, runs left, and he goes into the end zone for an 11-yard touchdown.
Yeah, following this pump fake, his option 2 is to run. Great job realizing the backside is sealed, and Book kind of gets his mojo back here as we head into halftime.
Notre Dame had the lead, 21-14. Tony Jones Jr. in the first half, 9 carries, 87 yards, and a touchdown. Let's take a look at the first half stats, as Notre Dame did a very effective job running the football.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want to have happen. I don't think this was necessarily the first half that Notre Dame drew up or designed when they were going in this game. A lot of credit to Louisville. I think they played very well. Obviously a raucous crowd to start as well. So for Notre Dame to go into halftime, I think with some of that momentum was important. Go back to the drawing board, make some adjustments, and then come out strong.
Halftime score, Notre Dame 21, Louisville 14. We'll check out third quarter highlights next on Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com.
The atmosphere on this campus, in that stadium, doesn't happen anywhere else but here at Notre Dame.
This tradition, this history is about great teams.
A great field, great atmosphere. This is why you play at Notre Dame.
Here come the Irish. Jalen Elliott intercepted. End zone touchdown. Chase Claypool hit by Kareem. Julian O'Quark. Gilman's got it again. Jafar Armstrong.
An education teaches us who we are in the world. It teaches us what we can do and what we hope to become. But most importantly, it teaches us where we belong.
And welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com, along with former Irish quarterback Evan Sharpley. I'm Darren Pritchett. Well, at halftime, Notre Dame had a 21-14 lead over Louisville. Could they pull away in the second half? Let's check out the second half highlights from Cardinal Stadium in Louisville, Kentucky. Early on, the Notre Dame defense set a good tone as Ade Ogundeji was able to knock the ball free from pass. Dalen Hayes recovered the fumble. That was a big turnaround as Louisville was in scoring range.
You know, Darren, this is something that Clark Lee's defense works on in practice quite a bit, trying to punch the football out. I know they have different parts of practice and sessions designed just for this. Obviously, it was a big part of the game.
Louisville on their next possession. It was Khalid Kareem with a 2-yard tackle for loss as he brought down Hawkins. And then the outstanding freshman Kyle Hamilton, another pass breakup over the middle. Notre Dame still up 21-14 in the third quarter. Book crossing route to Chase Claypool. He goes 31 yards. That was his 4th catch of the evening. And he carried tacklers all the way down to the Louisville 26-yard line. From there, the freshman Tommy Tremble scores his first career touchdown on a great throw from Ian Book.
Great play design here, play action, 2 high safeties, so the middle of the field is open. You have 4 verticals. The linebacker's the only guy that can make a play on Tremble, and Book makes him pay.
The Irish up 28-14, and then Drew White and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah bring down Atwell for a loss of 6 yards. We move to the fourth quarter. The Irish up by 14. Louisville picks up 3 points on the 42-yard field goal. It was 28-17. Ian Book goes back to throw and finds Tremble once again to the Louisville 41, a gain of 10. And then it's Lawrence Keys with a great catch over the middle. He picks up a Notre Dame first down, back-to-back third down conversions. Then on first down and 10, Ian Book rolled to his left. He threw it to the far side to Chase Claypool. He brings it all the way back across the field. And Claypool would get inside the Louisville 5-yard line, a gain of 34. On second and goal, Smith, his second touchdown of the night, and the Irish had a 35-17 advantage.
This really was the signature drive of the game on offense for Notre Dame, Darren. A lot of 3 third down pickups. Those money downs were very clutch. Ian Book, some decisive throws, made throws and decisions with conviction. Great job by the Irish offense.
The Irish pass rush closed out the game as the Fighting Irish got a sack from Kurt Hinish. There is Dalen Hayes wrapping up pass for a big loss. And on 4th down and 12 late in the ball game, Julian Okwara breaks free into the backfield, brings down the quarterback, also intentional grounding. Final score from Cardinal Stadium, Notre Dame 35 and Louisville 17. A good start to the season for the 9th-ranked Fighting Irish. Final game stats, Notre Dame ended up with 423 yards of total offense. Louisville 383. One thing about the game, Louisville started off 3 of 3 on third downs, but Notre Dame did a much better job as the game went on.
Yeah, I think if you look offensively, that 193 on the passing yards, I think most fans probably expected Ian Book to come out and maybe throw out a few more numbers than he did. Ultimately was pretty efficient on offense, really probably just scratching the surface of what he can do with this offense. And then, as you pointed out on the defensive side, this defense, I think, winning at halftime. We're really starting late in the second quarter and starting to kind of pin down the hatch a little bit and say, we got to make some plays on these third downs. They were able to get off the field and ultimately give the offense the football more often.
Well, you take a look at Aloy Gilman, one of the leaders of this football team. Starting safety for the Irish had 10 tackles tonight. I think one of the things we focused on, though, coming into the game was the linebacking core, and we saw a lot of bodies on the field tonight.
Yeah, and I think Clark Lee wanted to see a lot of bodies. He rotated a lot of guys through, really, I think, trying to find maybe a best fit, whether it's chemistry, communication. We know within Clark Lee's defense here, this 4-2-5, that the buck position and the Mike position are very crucial elements, especially at that second level on production. There's a lot of excitement on this Irish defense from the defensive line, from the secondary. I think question mark going in was who were guys that were going to step up. So there were some growing pains. I think that there were some glimpses of some production at that second level. But ultimately now you've got a week off moving forward. They're going to have to make some adjustments, and some guys are really going to have to step up.
And at the Mike linebacker spot, it seemed like Drew White got a lot better as the game went on, started to see formations, see the plays coming, and ended up being a good factor in this game. He ended up with 5 tackles. And the ball game was credited with a sack and had 2 tackles for loss.
Listen, Darren, anytime you lose some guys to graduation that are going on to the next level, leadership there, for a lot of these guys, it was their first time really seeing some live action at the collegiate level. So it was nice to see them settle in. I'm sure guys like Alohi Gilman and other leaders on this team probably looked at these guys on the sideline and said, hey, you've been playing football your whole life. Let's go out there and let's execute.
Got to mention Sean Crawford, 4 tackles tonight, starting field corner for this defense. Blown Achilles, 2 ACLs so far in his Notre Dame career, and looked very good tonight.
Awesome to see him back out there. One of my favorite players. He does a great job in a number of different areas. Whether he's got to play the nickel in the slot, whether he's got to play some corner. I think that his leadership is going to go a long way for helping this defense this year.
Fighting Irish 1-0 after beating Louisville 35-17. Stick around. More Inside Notre Dame Football presented by TireRack.com is coming up.
An education teaches us who we are in the world. It teaches us what we can do and what we hope to become. But most importantly, it teaches us where we belong.
A look inside Notre Dame Stadium. The video board tells the story. The Fighting Irish start their 2019 campaign with a victory. The Fighting Irish are 1-0. Welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. Well, Ian Book, starting quarterback for the Fighting Irish in 2019. He took over in Game 4 last year and helped the Irish get to the college football playoff. He got the start tonight. The offense got off to a slow start, but you would have to say he improved as the night went on, ended up 14 of 23 for 193 yards.
Listen, Darren, he set the bar really high last year.
True.
And I think coming into this season, that bar was set. So, for him, the next step now is, watching the film on this game. There's a lot to still like. Didn't make a lot of critical errors. I'd like to see him stay in the pocket a little bit longer. He's got a great receiving crew, but, a couple of throws that I really liked from him. The 2 high safety look to Tommy Tremble, put a nice ball there. This Irish offense started to work some of these under crossing routes. And then also, his ability to make some plays with his feet too. If you look at this pump fake, and then ultimately, I think read 2 on this was a backside run. The offensive line did a nice job of hedging. He realizes that it's sealed on the backside. He has enough athleticism and speed to take it to the house. So they're going to continue to grow. This offense is going to continue to grow with Ian Book.
All the talk in the spring and fall camp was the coaching staff wanted Ian Book to take more chances, thread the needle, throw the ball down the field. As a quarterback, is that tough to change in your game?
Well, you still want to take the throws that are there for you. Yes and no. And ultimately that'll come down to, I think, building some rapport. These are still some new faces that are playing receiver. You lose a couple of guys with a lot of production from a year ago. So now that they're on the field in a game setting, they're going to build some chemistry as they move forward. So, yeah, you want that. I really liked the last drive to kind of close things out. You saw some really nice throws, conviction where he was really trying to pound the ball through the receiver and put it on a line. So, and those were some critical downs, 2 and 3rd down, money downs as you would call them, and he did a good job of picking those up.
Yeah, Book 14 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown to go along with his good passing day. Let's talk about Tommy Tremble, one of his new options. He's a freshman tight end. He wears number 24, so he seems like a running back, but he's a guy they will split out a lot from the tight end position, and had a very good first game, had a touchdown catch tonight, and had 3 receptions in his first collegiate game.
Yeah, a couple of those under routes, that Ian Book was able to find him on. But once again, that touchdown was a thing of beauty. It was a double seam type of concept. We have 2 verticals on the outside, and Tremble is lined up as the weak side receiver. And what he's able to do is he's lined up on a linebacker 9 times out of 10. I think Tommy Tremble's probably going to win that matchup. Ian Book puts a ball really where only he can catch it. You just got to make sure that it's in between the 2 safeties when you're getting a too high safety look.
Tremble getting a chance to play right now due to Cole Kmet being out with a collarbone injury, and they miss Kmet at times in the ball game on those 3rd and short situations. That's a guy you have that is really good at inline blocking, but Tremble brings you something a little different to the table at the tight end position.
Yeah, well, where he's going to really have to step up his game is going to be in that inline blocking. You saw what he was able to do, whether it was in the flat on unders, a crossing pattern, over the middle on a seam. He's able to do those types of things. The next step is going to be, can he inline block consistently?
And of course, the top target is Chase Claypool. Miles Boykin now with the Baltimore Ravens, and Claypool is going to be that alpha wide receiver for this football team. 5 catches for 94 yards in this first game against Louisville.
Yeah, not too bad. And I think that's going to continue to grow too with what this offense is, I think, was going to be on their shoulders. But he's been a guy, for me, he's been a first off the bus type of guy really since he walked in as a freshman. You look at his physical attributes, what he's able to do. You hear the talk about the catch radius. You see it right here on a ball slightly thrown behind him. I don't think Ian Book wanted to get him lit up there, but it was great concentration to go and make this catch. I think you're gonna see more as the season goes on. They used him a lot on unders. Once he starts to get isolated on the backside, I think you're going to see, more deeper routes. You're going to maybe see a post. You're maybe going to see a comeback. But for right now, I think Louisville is so worried about Chase Claypool really taking over the game. I think they started to hedge his way, and that's why you saw some more of the under routes. But really, his big play was a comeback where Ian Book threw a great ball on timing, and then you saw the speed, you saw the athleticism, you saw the physicality, where he's able to reverse field and put the Irish in scoring position.
Getting Kmet and Young back in the lineup will only help Chase Claypool. Then there's the running game. Jafar Armstrong got a little banged up in the first half, so Tony Jones Jr., a veteran player, had a big opportunity to showcase his skills in this game, and he had a really good night. 15 carries for 110 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, it was really nice to see that. We knew we were going to see a few bodies at the running back position, but for Tony Jones to step up, he's a guy, he's got an interesting skill set. You wouldn't maybe say he's really good at one thing, kind of a jack of all trades. He can catch the football. You're going to see him run north and south when he's carrying the football. He's also very good in protection too. So kudos to this offensive line. Again, there's some new guys playing there. Jarrett Patterson first start at center. And then for Tony Jones to come out here and make some of the plays that he made, I think was really good to see in lieu of Jafar Armstrong getting hurt. They're going to need all three of these guys to perform at a high level for the running back position, and it may be a running back by committee. It may be on a week-to-week basis who gets hot, but we know that between those three guys, they've got a solid group of running backs.
Irish 42 carries, 230 yards, 4 touchdowns, and they averaged 5.5 yards per carry. The Irish victorious over Louisville 35-17. More still to come on Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com.
The atmosphere on this campus, in that stadium, doesn't happen anywhere else but here at Notre Dame.
This tradition, this history is about great teams.
A great field, great atmosphere. This is why you play at Notre Dame.
Here come the Irish. Jalen Elliott intercepted. Look, end zone touchdown. Chase Claypool hit by Perry. Gilman's got it again. Jafar Armstrong.
An education teaches us who we are in the world. It teaches us what we can do and what we hope to become. But most importantly, it teaches us where we belong.
This is Inside Notre Dame Football following Notre Dame's 35-17 victory over Louisville down in Kentucky, along with former Irish quarterback Evan Sharpley. I'm Darren Pritchett. Just a couple of moments ago, we talked about Tony Jones Jr.'s night, but with Armstrong out of the lineup, a guy like Jameer Smith was pushed more into the spotlight and had a couple of rushing touchdowns tonight for Brian Kelly.
Hey, he was kind of the closer. You know, he came in kind of as they got closer to the end zone, and for him to be in those positions and cash in on those opportunities was really great to see for a young guy. You know, kind of getting his first taste of college football. But, you know, for Robert Hainsey, Liam Eichenberg, Tommy Kramer, and the rest of the crew there, you know, I think for them to kind of set the tone and then these running backs to be able to reap some of those benefits to start the season out, I think was a really nice thing. And, you know, early on in the game, I think the question was, why weren't they running more? You know, they were up to almost 10 yards per carry. So you knew this offensive line was doing a fantastic job, whether it was Jones out there, whether it was Smith out there. They were going to pick up 6 to 8 yards. So moving forward, you know, this is a crew of guys I think that are going to be able to get it done. You saw some pass catches too from this group, and that's something that offensive coordinator Chip Long likes to do. You can't just be one facet. You have to be able to block. You have to be able to catch some passes as well.
4 of the 5 offensive linemen are back from last year. Only Jared Patterson replaces Sam Mustipher at center. So let me ask the old quarterback, is there much of a transition between center and quarterback when there's a change at the center position?
No, and I would say, you know, that's really a good spot to have a new guy when you have the experience around. You know, if we're talking about maybe replacing a left tackle, you may be a little bit worried it's not a guy who's had your back for a year. So, you know, I think it's going to be a nice transition for a guy like Patterson and Book to build some rapport, and certainly that happened during the spring, throughout the summer, and then into fall camp too. But I think even for Patterson too, you can probably look to his left and look to his right and say, hey, you know, you guys have been out of here a few times. I'm going to rely on you as we get this season started.
As you think about the Irish defense, they give up the 14 quick points in this game, and then they really settle and give up just 3 the remainder of the football game. And one of the guys you look to from a leadership standpoint is safety Alohi Gilman, who had 10 tackles in this game against Louisville. How impactful can a guy like that be from the safety position?
He does a great job of making plays. He always seems to be around the football. And really, it's been a kind of a hallmark of Clark Lea's defense, and this group over the past 3 to 4 years has been how they adjust in game. If you look at what they did, came out, Louisville, I think, gashed them, whether it was, you know, the script that they had, whether it was playing in front of their home crowd on a great night in front of an electric crowd. You kind of have to survive that early fury. The defense was able to settle in and start to make some plays. And he just, you know, Alohi Gilman plays with a lot of passion. Again, you know, making plays like this, you saw it a year ago. Punching footballs out and then, you know, being able to, you know, knock a few passes out and really getting this defense lined up and where they need to be.
you also have to keep in mind, too, Louisville with a brand new coaching staff coming from App State. They actually played with a little more tempo tonight than they had at App State. So I think there was probably a little bit of an adjustment period for not only the Notre Dame players, but the coaching staff. And once they saw what Louisville was doing, boy, things really changed.
Yeah, and Brian Kelly admitted this too at halftime. They struggled with some of the zone read. Juwan Pass, I think, did a great job in running that. He's not necessarily a true dual threat guy where he's going to hurt you with a lot of downfield passes. So once they were able to take that away and really solidify things at the line of scrimmage, I think you saw better run fits from guys like Alohi Gilman in the safety position. That's really important when you're going against a zone read team, because if you miss a tackle, as you saw a few times, they're going to make you pay.
Well, let's take a look at the preseason AP Top 10 and some of the results from the Top 10. The Irish entered this season ranked number 9. You look at the top, Clemson and Alabama with convincing victories. Georgia, a good solid victory in Nashville over Vanderbilt 30-6. Oklahoma, no matter who they put in at quarterback, they put up numbers, don't they?
I'm about to go back there.
Jalen Hurts had a great game in his first game with the Sooners. LSU, very, very impressive. Michigan got the job done. And Florida, a little shaky against Miami of Florida, but they got the job done winning 24-20. So that's a look at the AP Top 10. The Irish at number 9. Of course, they have some time off before they take on New Mexico at Notre Dame Stadium. You're watching Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com.
An education teaches us who we are in the world. It teaches us what we can do and what we hope to become. But most importantly, it teaches us where we belong.
Along with former Irish quarterback Evan Sharpley, I'm Darren Pritchett. Welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Football. The Fighting Irish won their season opener at Louisville by a final score of 35-17. So now the Irish with basically a bye week, 12 days in between games, as they will get set to take on New Mexico. And former Notre Dame head coach Bob Davie in charge of the Lobos. And not to look ahead.
What are you going to do for 12 days?
I don't know. I guess we got to focus on Bob Davie film. Of course, he's actually seriously dealing with some health issues right now. But the Lobos have used triple option. They've used spread. So they have some different looks offensively. But we have to look ahead a little bit. Okay. September 21st, the hottest ticket in college football between the hedges.
Circle that one, underline it, highlight.
September 21st, It's Notre Dame taking on Georgia. We remember a couple of years ago, a terrific game at Notre Dame Stadium. Georgia won by a point in that particular contest. So when you think about going on the road, hostile environment, they're going to be really looking forward to seeing the Irish down there in Athens. So what is the secret to success going to that wild environment?
Well, as we know, they traveled well here, so I don't know if any Irish fans are going to be able to get in the stadium. But, you know, it honestly, I always enjoyed playing in hostile environments like that, and I think most players would say the same. You know, you look at it kind of as a business trip. Mm-hmm. There aren't a lot of distractions. You know, sometimes when you play in big games, big environments at home, you know, you start to kind of feel that creep onto campus really early on. And for this, you know, it's going to be business as usual. And then it's going to be, you know, a select group of guys are going to make that travel roster. You're going to get on the plane. I'm sure you're going to try to stay loose, but ultimately, too, you know, there's a reason why that's circled and underlined and highlighted, because it is a big game against a team that you're looking, you know, for probably a little payback. And I think, too, it would really catapult where this season potentially could go if they're able to go in there and play well.
Well, when you think about quieting a crowd like that, running the football effectively, playing power football is a really nice way to demoralize the crowd because there's nothing worse than watching your team getting ran over at the line of scrimmage. So it would be nice to establish a running game, and you got two guys in Armstrong and Jones that can be powerful, and hopefully that offensive line could wear down that Georgia front.
It's a great way to survive the early fury. I mean, we saw it against Louisville too. Teams are going to come out swinging, but if you're able to wear teams down by the fourth quarter, so if we talk about running the football, maybe we talk about the Notre Dame strength and conditioning program too, in winning at the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively, but then being able to have a shot late in the game in the fourth quarter. Then you're going to find out who the real team is.
Remember in 2012, no one gave Notre Dame a chance going to Norman to take on Oklahoma, and Chris Brown had that long touchdown catch. The Irish stunned the Sooners on their way to the national championship game. I doubt there'll be many people picking Notre Dame to win that game. And hey, Georgia is a terrific football team with an experienced quarterback, but that'll be an interesting challenge. And if you pick up the victory there, you got Virginia at home, and that's kind of the sneaky pick to win their division in the ACC. And you've got USC a couple of weeks after that. JT Daniels, their quarterback, is done for the year with a torn ACL. So USC already with a tough schedule, a lot of pressure on their quarterback. That is a tough situation for Clay Helton to have to deal with.
I like that you point out Virginia. They have one of the best quarterbacks, I think, in the nation, a guy who's, top 20, I think, early on in some of the pro football, focused type of recruiting or rating systems. So, Notre Dame's going to face some good quarterbacks, some guys that can do a little bit of both. When you're looking forward on this schedule, there aren't a lot of easy games per se, and looking to this New Mexico game, you hope you take care of business there, and then really the one that can catapult things even outside of USC. You look at Michigan too. I mean, Stanford on there as well. There's a lot of good football teams. So for Notre Dame to get win one here and now move into a bye week and then into the second game, albeit healthy and some things to learn when they watch film, I think is really nice.
For Michigan, no Winovich, no Gary on defense. That's good news for Ian Book. Shea Patterson is back at quarterback as they're going more up-tempo now at Michigan. They're going to have a brand new look with their new offensive coordinator. Let's circle back to this game. The Irish defeat Louisville. Defensive adjustments. We've established Louisville had 14 points right off the bat, 3 points the rest of the ball game. Were there a couple of things that stood out from this game that you thought Clark Lee did very well in altering the flow of the game?
Well, I think the team executed quite a bit better. You didn't see as many missed assignments, whether it be mental or physical. I pointed out and talked the run fits, I think, improved quite a bit. You saw Lohi Gilman. Maybe he was a little amped up, overrunning a play that led to a long run. You didn't see that late into the second quarter and then in the third and the fourth. But one thing, again, that this defense really prides itself on, I think, with the leaders that they have, but then also at the top with Clark Lee and then his coordinators, is being able to make adjustments prior to halftime. Louisville came out, executed at a high level. I think there were a couple of holes that were maybe concerning. And you saw right away then, you saw a lot of changes in bodies on who's going to get this right, who's going to execute. And then once they found, I think, the right mix, you saw much better execution for the remainder of the game.
Let's talk about possibly handing out some game balls and possibly throw out a couple of newcomers that impressed you. Let's start on the offensive side of the football. Who should we highlight from this ball game over the win over Louisville?
Well, I think you got to look at Tony Jones. What he was able to do, and then kind of piggybacking on that, the offensive line too. You could throw Smith in there as well, but let's go with Tony Jones for me, and then Chase Claypool I think was a big factor as well. I know Tommy Tremble, you could throw him in there maybe as a newcomer of the game on the offensive side. So those are my names on the offensive side. I think defensively, Lohi Gilman, I think we're going to talk about his name probably weekly as far as just how this defense runs and the position that he's going to be able to be in to rack up some tackles, the strip and the fumble recovery at that time of the game. Granted, it kind of went back and forth. I'm not sure what was on that football at that point where no one seemed to be able to wrap it up. So for me, those were great to see. Kyle Hamilton, coming in and playing, I think, a lot more than most people thought early on. He had a great fall camp. We knew what he was capable of doing, but for him to then do it in an actual game setting and make some big plays was fantastic.
When Michael Young, the wide receiver, went down with a collarbone injury, we knew there was a lot of young players at wide receiver that really have never been given a chance yet just because of some of the older guys ahead of them. So with Young going down, There was an individual, for example, like Lawrence Keys, that got a chance to get on the field a little more, and we saw him tonight. He had a couple of catches, including one catch. The throw was well behind him. It was not a well-thrown football. He got both hands on it and picked up the first down. So there's a guy taking advantage of an injury to get a little playing time and show the coaching staff what he can do.
And I think on the offensive side, you look at Cole Kmet down right now, Michael Young too. That may be the story of this offense as they move forward is, you know, we're going to see some names, and they're going to have to step up. So for Irish fans, they got to be smiling a little bit to see Lawrence Keys make a catch or two, see Tommy Tremble get a touchdown catch, and some other pass opportunities too. So, you know, these young guys, you want to see those young guys step up that don't have a lot of experience, whether they were necessarily planning on playing. I think going into the season, they're now into those roles, and their team needs them.
Well, a popular question the last couple of years to us in the media, where's Javon McKinley? Where's he at? Well, he got on the field tonight, had a big catch for this football team. So McKinley chips in for the Irish tonight. More Inside Notre Dame football still to come, presented by TireRack.com.
The atmosphere on this campus, in that stadium, doesn't happen anywhere else but here at Notre Dame.
This tradition, this history is about great teams.
A great field, great atmosphere. This is why you play at Notre Dame.
Here come the Irish. Jalen Elliott intercepted. Look, end zone touchdown. Chase Claypool hit by Perry. Gilman's got it again. Jafar Armstrong.
An education teaches us who we are in the world. It teaches us what we can do and what we hope to become. But most importantly, it teaches us where we belong.
The atmosphere on this campus, in that stadium, doesn't happen anywhere else but here at Notre Dame.
This tradition, this history is about great teams.
A great field, great atmosphere. This is why you play at Notre Dame.
Here come the Irish. Jalen Elliott intercepted. Look, end zone touchdown. Chase Claypool hit by Perry. Gilman's got it again. Jafar Armstrong.
An education teaches us who we are in the world. It teaches us what we can do and what we hope to become. But most importantly, it teaches us where we belong.
Well, the Fighting Irish won their season opener at Louisville 35-17. So let's hear from the head coach of the Fighting Irish, Brian Kelly.
Pleased with the win on the road. I thought it was a great atmosphere. Louisville played really hard. You know, they created a great atmosphere for an opener, which, you know, it's hard to duplicate that, you know, for your team. So I thought we benefited from being on the road in a great environment, and, you know, thought we came out, started really well. You know, we had to make some adjustments to their speed option game, which I thought we, you know, settled down and did that. And I thought pretty much, you know, after we made those adjustments, kind of took control of the game after that.
You would describe these performances rusty, especially in the first half of the
Yeah, I would probably. I like to watch film first, but there were some uncharacteristic kind of flushing from a pocket that, you know, we hadn't seen from him. A lot of it had to do with seeing a defense for the first time. You know, he would have benefited much more from seeing it, you know, more. You know, this is the first time he saw the defense. They ran a lot more cover two than he was used to. They were in a stand-up defense trying to get it from the sideline. We were playing fast. They weren't set. I'm not trying to sit here and make excuses for him, but it wasn't a first game where it was cookie cutter for him. So there was a little rust there. He'll be better for it in game 2.
Brian, was he not seeing some open receivers, or what was your perspective on that?
I just think he was getting out of things a little quick because there was some uncertainty and maybe thinking a little bit too much. He's just got to trust it, and that'll come. But again, I think when we get into a little bit more of a familiar pattern of teams where we know what we're going to get, of course, we're going to play 7 teams that have bye weeks where, we'll kind of throw that out the window again. But we'll have a much more certainty of what he's going to see, and I think that's going to keep him a lot more poised in the pocket.
You mentioned recently that Tommy Trundle's a matchup problem for opponents. That's what
Prepared to be that way today.
Yes.
Yeah. He's an outstanding athlete. We knew that when we recruited him. He had, crazy numbers in all of his testing when we recruited him, and knew that it was just a matter of maturation, mostly off the field as he kind of transitioned into college, and balancing both football and academics. And as he's done that and become more comfortable with balancing both, he's started to emerge as a football player.
Tony Jones says that he's more decisive because he's more confident when he's doing the offense. Is that your perspective? How have you seen him improve?
I think he's really comfortable with his role. He knows exactly what we're asking of him, and I think that has made him much more comfortable with what he's doing on a day-to-day basis. I think there were times where he wasn't certain what his role was, and it caused him some anxiety at times. He knows exactly what his role is, what we're asking of him, and he's been excellent in fulfilling that.
Brian, you guys are going to hit the goals that you want. Is it going to be Ogadeje, Socorro, like Drew White, Tremble, Jameer Smith, like guys who haven't really done it that are going to have to take the biggest steps?
Well, I would argue to you tonight that our veterans have to play better, that our young players emerged tonight and really showed that they can fill in areas that are, for me, ones that we needed them to come through in. We saw 14 and his ability to be someone in the middle of our defense as somebody that can defend the pass. We saw 24 tonight. We saw Lawrence Keys' ability. We actually need our veterans to step up another level of their play, which I'm certain they will. The good news for me tonight as the head coach is that I think the younger players, to me, showed themselves, and that now with all of them together moving forward, this can be a pretty good football team.
I think that's a belabor of the book stuff, but I mean, the standard he wants to hold himself to.
Yeah.
Do you want him to be disappointed, upset with how he plays?
No, he knows that he can be better, and we're not going to beat him with a shoe. I mean, it's one game. He needs to be better. He knows that, and he will be better. He's smart. He's athletic. You saw the first run he had. He has changed his body. Tommy will do a great job with him and getting him to, see the bigger picture and run through his progressions, and I'm extremely confident that will happen.
So it surprised you that the veterans maybe didn't have that level right away, or?
No, I would say that there were bits and pieces of really dynamic play from them. I just think that we need a little bit more from them consistently, and I think that they would tell you the same if they were sitting here tonight. I think they probably already did. I wasn't in here, but they would like to play a little bit more consistent. There was a little rust there. I think game 1 had something to do with it as well. Young guys have that tendency that they want to show themselves. This was a big stage for them tonight to kind of show that this is my opportunity. So I think if we're all working in the same direction and everybody's playing at a higher level, this is going to be a good team.
You mentioned how you benefit from playing in this road environment tonight. So how does this team benefit from getting this road win in, given the other true road games you have on the schedule?
Well, just, again, going through the routine of going on the road, playing on the road in a hostile environment, those things help a football team when they do it again. And listen, there's a lot of distractions to a 18 to 21-year-old when he comes into a stadium and there's noise and, you know, the lights and the fireworks going off 45 minutes before, and that's a lot of distractions. So the ability to go through that and eliminate the distractions the next time they go on the road is extremely beneficial.
How far was it a groaning, and is it serious?
We don't know that it's serious, and we're not sure that it's a groin. He was telling us that it was more midline. He's being examined by the doctors right now. He was moving around okay. We're hopeful that it's not something that puts him out very long.
Brian, you said that you would have more of a gut feeling about your football team after game one. Now that game one's over, what's your gut feeling about this football?
We're aligning ourselves toward the kind of things that I want to see. We're not there yet. We're aligning ourselves in the right direction. You know, we don't look like, you know, the finished product by any means, but we did some things tonight that align us in the kind of direction I want to go, because we had some young players step up today that were really important for us, and some areas that were uncertain that played pretty solid football for us. So some of those questions that we had kind of came through, and then the football team is in good physical condition, good shape. They came through camp and their preparation in good form, and they're ready to take on the rigors of a long season.
One more. Defensively, what was the biggest difference for you guys between the first quarter and the rest of the game?
Juwan Pass is going to run the ball, and let's make sure that we, you know, are fundamentally inside out on speed option, and just technically just being better. You know, we were a little bit out of sorts, overrunning plays, not in good cutback lanes, just settle down, you know, just talk to the guys on the sideline and just be a little bit technically better. But we'll have to be better even as a group in other areas. You know, we had penalties that kept drives alive. We have missed tackles. You know, we're going to have to be on body and coverage a little bit better. So listen, there's a litany of things that we can get better at. We still won the game, and we have some good things to take away from it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. Sorry to hold you up.
Well, Evan, the Irish have beaten Louisville. Now you look ahead to New Mexico. What do you think they focus on over the next week or so?
Well, it's great to be able to have a win and look at some film. I think when Ian Book turns on this, he's going to want to stay in the pocket, go through his progressions, really trust those. I think he ejected out a couple of times too early, so trusting that and getting through the full scope of his read, I think, will be important. And then also for this offensive line and really the team in general, you know, being able to pick up 3 yards maybe on a 3rd and 3. You know, I think that's going to be the step moving forward as this season progresses. Is are they able to do that? Defensively, who are the names going to be at linebacker? Some guys are going to have to step up, but for them, it's going to be a lot of rinse and repeat. You know, be timely with turnovers and get off the field on 3rd downs.
Final score, Notre Dame 35, Louisville 17 for former Irish quarterback Evan Sharpley. I'm Darren Pritchett. Thank you for joining us for Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com.